This is the speaking mock test of the International English Language Testing System taking place online in Ross IELTS Academy. The candidate is Atit. The candidate number is 013-13458. The examiner is Jason, examiner number 443533. Good afternoon. My name is Jason. Would you please tell me your full name?
Hey, good afternoon. My full name is Patel Atit Dilip Bhai. You can call me Atit.
Great. In the first part of the exam, I will ask you some personal questions. Let's talk about family. How many people are there in your immediate family?
So there are five people, starting with my parents who are currently over there in India, and I'm currently residing in Singapore. So here I'm with my wife and 1 year old daughter.
Great. Who do you get on best within your family?
I think with everyone, but I would say with my wife best.
And why?
Because we have been married for 3 years now, and before that we were in relationship for 6 years. So in total, I have known her for about 9 years, and we get along really well.
Great. Is family important to you?
Yes, of course, it's really important to me, and mainly because I'm the only child in my family. So then staying with the family, it's really important for me. But unfortunately, right now my parents are not with me.
Nice. Let's talk about the transportation. Do you
Okay.
prefer public transportation or private transportation?
Also, over here in Singapore, I prefer public transportation mainly because of two reasons. First of all, public transport here it's very reliable and well organized. And another reason is that I don't own a private vehicle over here.
Is it easy to catch a bus in your country?
Yes, here it's pretty easy to catch a bus, and even there are mobile applications as well from where you can see in how many minutes the bus will arrive and whether it's crowded or not. So I think it's pretty useful.
What do you think will become the most popular means of transportation in your country?
I think over here in Singapore, it would be the public transport only because here they have a restriction on number of cars that can be on the road. But if you talk about in India, I think it would be two-wheelers because of the growing population and the two-wheelers are less expensive compared to the cars.
Nice. Let's move on to talk about colors. What colors do you like?
I like mainly black and white. But if you see my clothes, you can say like blue as well.
Cool. Do you like to wear dark or bright colors?
Uh, Actually, I don't have such preferences. I would just wear like based on the occasion. But really, I don't have any preference on like dark or bright colors.
Hmm. What's the difference between men and women's preference for colors?
I guess for men, the color palette is very limited. Okay, there are some major colors, blue, red, and that's all. But if you talk about women, there are lots many colors. Even in the pink, there would be 10 different shades. Similarly for other colors as well. So I think that's the primary difference.
Cool. Okay, thank you. That's the end of part one. Let's go to part two. In part two, I will give you a card with a topic, and you will have to talk about it for 2 minutes. You have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make some notes to help you if you wish to understand.
Okay.
Okay, I would like you to describe a famous food from your hometown or country. Your 1 minute preparation time starts now.
Okay.
Okay, your 1 minute is over. Please begin speaking.
Sure. So I live in Gujarat state in India. Sorry, my hometown is Gujarat state in India, and the most people are vegetarian over there. So the food I would like to talk about, it's one vegetarian food. The local name it's the pani puri, which is basically one small balls, which is about size of 3 to 4 centimeters, and usually there are thin fried balls, and in which the some stuffing of potato it's filled, and along with that some chutney it's added as a form of water. So it's made of these things, and along with that some extra things like onions or curd can also be added. So I think it's pretty popular because it's not very expensive. So let's say for $1 you can easily uh, have as many as you want. And apart from that, the it usually every type of people likes it, from children or youngsters or even aged people. And usually they are sold in the streets as and it's a street food. So most of the case you will not find that in a post restaurant, but in order to have that you need to visit some of the streets. But if you visit any street, you will definitely find one person serving that. And even not only locals, but I have also observed that even many foreigners like that. For example, one time when I was working over there, one of the client from Germany visited there, and I took him to taste it one time. And then he stayed there for 3 more days, and every day he would ask me to go there and eat it again. And even after when he reached Germany back, whenever we had a call, he would remember that,
Thank
okay,
you very
I
much.
missed that food.
Part two is over. You can go to part three. Okay, in part two, you talked about a famous food from your hometown. Now, in part three, I want to ask you some questions related to this topic. Okay,
Okay.
what are the types of food that people eat in your country?
As I mentioned, India, it's mainly there are vegetarian people more. So the usual food involves like some sort of vegetable, then chapati, which is a sort of bread, then rice and some sort of lentil. So basically, it's a balanced dish, and it would give you all the required nutrients.
Great. And what about foreign food? What kinds of foreign food are popular in your country?
I think the most popular foreign food it's the pizza without any doubt. And apart from that, other foreign popular foods are like burgers, or in Mexican there are tacos as well. And in the Italian food, pasta is also very popular.
Okay, do people in your country tend to eat this kind of food as well as yours or not?
Sorry, can you please come again?
Yeah, I mean, do people in your country prefer to eat these more than the local foods or not?
No, usually, if we talk in a week, usually for most of the days, people would eat the local food. Only once or twice they would go out to eat foreign food.
Nice. In your country, is it important to have a meal together with your family?
Yes, it is indeed very important. And from childhood itself, every kid is told that it's good to have dinner with their family. There is a saying over there which says, "A family that eats together stays together." So I think people really put more focus on eating meal together.
Great. Let's move on to diet and eating habits. Do you think our diet is important?
Yes, I think it's really important because a person must eat a healthy diet in terms so in order to stay fit, and I think it would provide more benefits in a longer period. So if a person eats just junk food now, he would not realize immediately, but later in the future, the health would be not that good.
Okay. What is a balanced diet?
I think a balanced diet is something where you can get all the required nutrients, as well as there is some juice or And also I would personally I like to have some tasty food along with as well, because if we eat only fruits and all, then ultimately that would get boring over the time, and mind won't get the dopamine that it need.
Great. How are the eating habits now in your country different from eating habits in the past?
So in the past, people were more used to have healthy food, more like, as I mentioned, the balanced diet mode. But nowadays, youngsters prefer more fast food, so that they can easily prepare and have it on the go.
Okay, that's nice. Thank you very much. This is the end of the test.
Okay.
And it's over. You can relax now.
Yeah.
Okay, I need 1 to 2 minutes to add up your band score. Okay,
Sure. Take your
then
time.
I can talk about your performance and we go to the feedback part together. Okay, so just going to stay here, just mute myself.
Sure, no worries.
Silver and VIP. This package is comprised of the offline educational videos for the 4 skills, including listening, reading, writing, and speaking. In these videos, you will learn all the necessary techniques that you will need to apply for the IELTS exam. Apart from the educational videos, you will have full access to enormous resources to practice the strategies that you learn. Once you finish your course, you will have 2 and 4 online mock tests of speaking, along with comprehensive feedback under the same conditions in Silver and VIP courses, respectively. Also, you can send us your writings to be checked out and receive comprehensive feedback on those. You will also have 60 3-level British-based podcasts produced by the Academy, not only to help you improve your listening, but also to enhance your vocabulary range and pronunciation. In addition to all the mentioned resources, you will be provided with useful grammar and collocation files to get your target score with a better level of knowledge. Join us and become our next successful candidate.
All right. So how do you think the test was?
I think it was good. I mean, what I expected, I was able to deliver to that level.
Okay, that's cool. You got a perfect 7 for today.
Okay.
That was really nice. 7 is the ideal band score every candidate is looking for.
Yeah, correct.
So yeah, that was nice. I'm going to simply explain you what happened and why you got this band score. But before that, I would like to go to give you a very maybe small tip about different parts of the test, parts 1, 2, and 3. In part 1, you don't need to explain a lot. You don't need to just go really deep when you're answering the question. So your answer should be something between 3 to 4 sentences, not too long, not too short ones. Okay. You did it perfectly, but for some questions, I, I mean, in part 1, I felt that your answer is kind of short. Okay, you need to just go for one more reason or one example or something you can add to the answer you already gave. Okay, it's better to just keep the balance between the the answers you're giving. However, you're not going to be judged according to 1 or 2 answers you're giving in part 1. Okay, just I'm letting you know about the maybe the way different parts work. Okay, so in part 2, you handled it pretty well. I mean, what you need to do in part 2 is keep talking for the 2 minutes until the examiner stops you. You need to speak for 2 minutes. You did it perfectly. I'm going to talk about it more, but you're speaking kind of fast. Okay. In part 2, what we just uh, talk about to candidates is not speaking fast. Okay, because sometimes the topic might be tricky and you might run out of ideas. You didn't for this one, but I'm talking about the other cases you might face. So it's better to speak naturally, not too slowly, not too fast. Okay, to just try to handle and cover the 2 minutes perfectly and well. Okay. And in part 3, what is really important and necessary is developing the answers fully and appropriately. Okay. I think for the majority of the questions I asked you in part 3, you did it well. But for the first one, or maybe for the second one, it was not very, wide enough, very long enough. And you could just go for more. Maybe I could say something to you. In part 3, answer the question, explain why, and give an example. Okay, that would be always safe for you if you follow these 3 steps. Okay, and you don't need to speak one-sided. You can go for different types. For instance, what are the types of food that people eat in your country? Well, it depends on what group of people you're talking about. For instance, the younger generation tends to, for example, go for fast food, and you just explain more. And you can say the older generation normally go for traditional food or homemade food because blah blah. Okay, you see what I mean?
Yep.
Because you have the potential, you're linguistically fine, you can take care of it easily. Okay. So now let's talk about the 4 criteria. Let's start with your fluency, which was really impressive and nice. I mean, you spoke without noticeable effort. You didn't need to think about the words and grammar to use. It was crystal clear to me that you've been speaking English maybe for a while, so you don't need to worry about, okay, is it correct? Is it right? Thinking about what you're going to say, the hesitation. You didn't have hesitation, and that was cool. Just in one part, I think in part 1, when I asked you about the means of the transportation, I think you misunderstood the question. I said, what do you think will become the most popular means of transportation in your country? Okay, then you talked about public or private transportation. I mean, means of transportation are like forms of transportation, like bus, taxi, subway.
Okay.
Which of them do you think will be? However, it was fine. I mean, just apart from this, you were perfect. You use a good range of connectives, which is really important, which is a must if you want to get a 7 or above. Apart from not only in order to, as well as, and also as well. Okay, that's nice. You can use maybe however, although, okay, even though, and these more. Okay, that would guarantee your 7 or above, a better band score. So for your vocabulary, let's say that your vocabulary was not only good enough to cover the topics, but also you did use some good expressions and maybe we can say less common vocabulary. I like the way you were trying to explain things, especially in part 2. And sometimes you use good ones like there's a saying, it provides benefits, and along with reliable when you were talking about those kind of things, and topping, I think it was about the food. Okay, so that's really important to use less common and idiomatic vocabulary. Maybe you can use more of them. Okay, just you need to show that you are aware of them. Okay, and the other thing could be, other thing that I recommend you is paraphrasing. Okay, when I ask you that, is family important to you? You could say, instead of saying, yes, my family is important to me, or yes, it is important to me, you could say, well, definitely, my family plays, for example, a significant role in my life. Okay, my family matters to me.
Okay.
You could use synonyms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not for the all and every single question. You can just go for maybe randomly 1, 2, or 3 of them to just show that you can paraphrase when it's necessary. Okay.
Okay.
So for your vocabulary, maybe you could go for more paraphrasing. You got another perfect 7 for your vocab. And grammatical range and accuracy, I could say that the majority of your sentences are error-free and accurate, and that's really nice and important. Okay, so you try to use a range of complex structures with some flexibility. I mean, sometimes you were mixing basic and simple sentences with the complex structures. And however, I could say that most of them were complex. By complex sentence, I don't mean very fancy grammar or very difficult structure. I mean just not using basic sentences. Okay, I live in this country. I like this country. No. For example, we could say I live in Singapore, which is my favorite country. Okay, just by very basic structure, which and but you could make it a complex one. That was nice. Your range was good as well. Okay. I mean, you could show that whenever the tense or the structure is necessary, you could go for them. Okay, you had a good maybe command of, I could say, relative clauses. Okay, you were using it perfectly, and also different tenses. So that was cool. However, you had, I think, minor mistakes, very minor mistakes, like not a very expensive. I don't know. Maybe it was the air that you paused that you produced. Okay, not a very expensive, but you didn't have a noun. It was not very expensive, but you could say it was not a very expensive food. It was not a very expensive house or whatever. Okay, the a was extra here. It's a really important. Okay, if you are using a noun after that, it's fine. It's a really important job. It's a really important thing. But because you didn't use anything, the a was extra. Okay, you don't have to worry about it. It's not going to make a confusion or a big deal, but it's better not to have it,
Okay.
So if you want to have a better grammar or get a better band score, maybe from 7 to 8, you could use, I could say, a wider range of the structures. Try to focus more on complex ones. Okay, try to go for, I don't know, mostly error-free sentences as you had, but it's better to avoid even the minor mistakes you have. Okay. Now let's talk about your pronunciation. You got a 6 for your pronunciation, a 7 for your grammar, 6 for your pronunciation. I think you were understandable, apart from the parts that sometimes it was hard to get the sound, maybe and z sound. They were confusing sometimes for me. Is it based on, or what it is? Okay, and z sounds. But I think the main reason you got a 6 for your pronunciation was that you were speaking fast.
Okay.
So I'm telling you, not only speaking fast was not beneficial and helpful to you, but also it marked you down. Okay? Why? Because when you speak fast, I cannot get you, and you are going to be scored and judged based on what I can get from you. Okay, so it's better to be more naturally. I mean, speaking naturally. So whatever you need to do is try to work on the pace.
Okay.
Because when you do that, you can get a better maybe mark in your fluency, and also you can go for more pronunciation features.
Okay.
You can use the intonation, sentence stress, word stress. You can show me how you are feeling when you are talking about something. The food I'm going to talk about is the most delicious I've ever tasted in my life. Or you can say, the food I'm going to talk about is the most important. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's totally different. And when you speak fast, you cannot do that very well.
Okay.
That's it. Do you have any questions for me?
So, just to confirm, like in fluency, I got 7 or 8.
Fluency 7, vocabulary
Okay.
7, grammar
Okay.
7. Pronunciation 6.
So, 3, 7, and 1, 6, would it make a 6.5 or 7?
7.
Or 7, okay. Okay, I have just one or two questions. So, let's say in part 2, definitely it's better to speak for 2 minutes. But let's say if it's a really complicated topic or I don't have any more idea, then what's the acceptable time? So, yeah, without losing any points.
Okay. The strategy and the technique we share with our candidates in our academy is going off the topic.
Okay.
Sometimes if you run out of ideas or the topic is really maybe not familiar to you, you can mention it in the beginning that I'm not really interested in this topic, but I could talk about something else. And you talk about something that you know a lot about, you have enough information to continue. Then at the end, you can come back to the topic again. But if you're
Okay.
talking about getting stuck in the middle of speaking, I could say it's better to continue and just come up with something else. Or use some boosters. Like the other thing I would like to talk about here would be something will come to your mind and you can continue. Or I would like to underline the fact that, or there is something else I would like to, for example, add here. Okay.
Okay. And what if there is if any unknown word at all? So let's say if examiner asks a question and the word mentioned in it, which is the main part of the question, which I don't know at all.
Okay, it's totally fine. You can ask him or her to explain you. First, you can just tell them to repeat it. Maybe you can get it or you can guess the meaning, but it's much better to make sure you got the meaning perfectly to answer properly. Because if you go for a wrong answer, you will lose mark. But if you ask, because you're not going to ask the same question or you don't have the request for each and every question, that would be fine.
Okay.
Okay, as long as you don't do it a lot.
Okay, and last two questions. So let's say even in the this test, right? When you ask about a food, the name was local, and it want to be something that the examiner would have listened before. So in that case, is there okay to use a one or two local words with some explanation in English? Okay, this is the word, but it means this, like that.
Totally fine. It could be like a name of a place, name of a food, name of maybe a device or an object that you use in your hometown. That would be fine. Even if you don't refer to the meaning in English, that's totally fine because you're not going to be scored based on your logic, knowledge, or whatever it is. You're going to be judged based on the language that you're using.
Understood. Okay, yeah, that's all from my end.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, that's all.
That's cool. Do you mind if we share your video on social media, like our YouTube channel or our website?
Sure. Sure, that should be fine.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank
And
you.
good luck with your test.
Yeah, thank you. Have a nice day.
No problem. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.